Officer Dawson, on his usual night patrol, was taken aback to find a young girl playing by herself in a dimly lit park. Concerned for her safety, he approached her to ask why she was alone so late at night. The girl, with an innocent expression, simply replied, "Mommy has a friend over." Police officer sees young girl playing alone at night. She then says, "Mommy has a friend over." Officer Dawson was a bit taken aback by the girl's answer. It was 11 o'clock in the evening on a normal weekday. This girl should be in her bed right now getting some rest before school in the morning. But she was out on the street because her mother had a friend over? Officer Dawson fled himself, getting angry, and he asked the girl where she lived so he could talk to her mom. The girl did not even flinch or blink and just told the officer that she was not allowed to tell that to strangers. Dawson tried to convince her that it was okay as he was a police officer. But he quickly realized that he was not going to be able to convince the girl. And so Dawson tried to take a step back for himself to assess what he was supposed to do next. Maybe he should start by getting to know this girl a little. Dawson found out that the girl's name was Danny and she was only 7 years old. She also told Officer Dawson that it was anything but the first time that she spent time out and about like this. Dawson was shocked to hear that this was normal for her. He could not believe that nobody had ever called about her before and that nothing happened to her yet. He himself had only found this girl by accident. He normally did not drive on this route, but he was covering the shift of one of his coworkers. While watching over the girl, Dawson decided to call this coworker to ask if he had seen this girl before. But his coworker claimed to have no idea who he was talking about. He needed to find out the truth about her alone. Officer Dawson figured that Danny needed to live somewhere close to here. They were in a residential area, and Dawson decided that his best course of action was to just knock on some doors and ask if they had seen this girl before. The issue was that it was already late, and so Dawson checked for houses where he still saw some light in the windows. Officer Dawson ended up checking 10 houses, and all of the people were willing to give him a word. But to his big surprise, nobody had seen this girl before. Some even claimed they were out every night to walk the dog, and still, they had not seen this girl before. If they had, they would have called the police about it a long time ago. A young girl out on these streets was a disaster waiting to happen. This might be a residential area, but it was not the best neighborhood. Dangerous people could be out and about at night, and you do not want to cross them. Officer Dawson was happy that all these people were willing and trying to help him, but he did not really learn anything from all these conversations. He still had no idea where this girl came from or who she was exactly. And it was getting later and later. It was past midnight at this point, and Danny was clearly getting tired now. Officer Dawson asked if he could bring her home, but she shook her head. She would only go home alone, leaving Dawson with a tricky decision to make. He could not let her go alone, so then he would have to lie about it and follow her in silence. But that also just did not feel right to him. Officer Dawson eventually decided that he simply had no other choice but to take the girl to the police station and figure out their next course of action from there. The girl very much did not want to go with him and even started shouting for help. But the only people who heard this could see that Dawson was a police officer and that this girl was not in danger. He ended up getting her in the back of her police car. Dawson told Danny that she was free to call her parents or anybody else if she wanted, but Danny told him that he did not have a mobile phone and that she did not know any phone numbers from memory. This was something that would make Officer Dawson's search even more difficult. Where could he even start? Dawson tried talking to Danny during the drive, hoping to learn something about her. He asked simple questions like her favorite color or if she liked school, aiming to ease into more serious topics. Danny just stared out the window, silent. Dawson glanced at her in the rearview mirror, trying to figure out his next move. The car's hum was the only sound filling the awkward silence between them. The silence stretched as they continued driving. Dawson attempted to make the atmosphere lighter by talking about his own experiences as a kid, even joking about his worst day at school. But Danny didn't react. She remained quiet, her gaze fixed on passing streetlights. Dawson realized that this approach wasn't working. He decided to give her some space, hoping the police station would provide more answers. They arrived at the police station, and Dawson quickly found a children's advocate to take care of Danny. The advocate, Ms. Thompson, greeted Danny with a warm smile, trying to make her feel welcome. Dawson watched as Ms. Thompson led Danny to a more comfortable area, filled with toys and books. It was a sharp contrast to the cold, formal environment of the rest of the station. Dawson then went to update his superiors about Danny's situation. He explained everything from finding Danny in the park to her silence during the drive. He stressed the urgency of identifying her and finding her home. His superior nodded, understanding the situation's gravity, and assured Dawson that they would do everything possible to help Danny. Back with Danny, Ms. Thompson tried to make her feel at ease. She offered Danny some hot cocoa and cookies, hoping to break the ice. Ms. Thompson then sat down with her, showing her a book with colorful illustrations. Danny finally showed a slight interest, flipping through the pages. Ms. Thompson smiled, hoping this was a step toward Danny opening up about her background. Dawson couldn't help but notice that despite her situation, Danny looked well cared for. Her clothes were clean and in good condition, suggesting she wasn't homeless or neglected. This observation sparked a new line of thought. Maybe Danny did have a home nearby, and something specific had caused her to be out at night. Dawson decided to initiate a search in the local area, hoping to uncover more about Danny's life. Noticing Danny's clean clothes and well-kept appearance, Dawson got an idea. He suggested they start searching the nearby neighborhoods for any sign of her family. Together with his team, they mapped out the area close to the park where Danny was found. They decided to split up, each taking a section of the neighborhood to ask around. The night was long, but hope fueled their steps. Despite Ms. Thompson's best efforts, Danny remained mostly silent. She tried different ways to connect, from drawing pictures together to playing simple games, but Danny wouldn't share much, not even her last name. Ms. Thompson kept her patience, showing Danny that she was there for her, no matter how long it took to open up. It was a small step, but it was a start. As the night turned into early morning, Danny's yawns became more frequent. She rubbed her eyes, finally whispering, "I just want to go to bed." Her voice was so quiet, Ms. Thompson almost didn't catch it. It was clear Danny was exhausted, worn out by the night's events and the unfamiliar surroundings of the police station. Ms. Thompson promised to make her as comfortable as possible until they could figure out her next steps. Watching Danny struggle, Dawson felt a deep sense of empathy. He saw a young girl, lost and tired, caught in a situation no child should face. He knew they had to find her home, not just for her safety but to give her the comfort and normalcy she deserved. Dawson renewed his commitment to the search, determined to solve the mystery of Danny's family and bring her story to a hopeful chapter. With dawn breaking, Dawson and his team regrouped to discuss their next moves. Despite the initial search yielding no immediate results, they were not discouraged. They brainstormed different strategies, considering everything from checking local school records to social media outreach. The goal was clear: to find where Danny belonged. The team was ready to dig deeper, knowing that every child's story deserves a chance to be told, and they were going to ensure Danny's was heard. As the morning light crept into the station, the team felt the pressure mounting. If they couldn't find Danny's family soon, child services would have to step in. Dawson knew this might scare Danny even more. They had to act fast. The team doubled their efforts, making calls and reviewing any overlooked details. Time was of the essence, and they were all too aware of it. With few leads, Dawson decided to take a new approach. While Danny slept on a cot in the quiet corner of the station, they gently took a DNA sample. It was a long shot, but Dawson hoped it might give them the breakthrough they needed. The sample was rushed to the lab, with the team crossing their fingers for a quick return. Danny remained asleep, unaware of the potential turning point in her story. The DNA results came back faster than anyone expected. The match was a surprise: a man believed to be Danny's father. Dawson and his team were stunned. This was the lead they had been hoping for. The information propelled the investigation forward, giving them a solid clue to Danny's background. Dawson knew this was the break they needed, but it also raised new questions about Danny's situation. With the DNA match linking Danny to her father, the investigation gained momentum. This clue was crucial. It gave the team a direction to pursue, something they had been lacking. Dawson started digging into the father's history, looking for any connection to Danny's current situation. The team was invigorated by the breakthrough, feeling a renewed sense of purpose in their quest to reunite Danny with her family. However, the discovery of the man's criminal record and recent release from prison complicated matters. Dawson was cautious, aware of the delicate situation. The team had to consider Danny's safety above all. This new information added layers to the case, making it clear that finding Danny's family was just the beginning. There were many questions left unanswered, and Dawson was determined to find the truth, whatever it may be. Digging into the man's history revealed petty thefts and minor offenses, sketching a bleak picture of Danny's potential home life. This raised concerns about her safety and the challenges she might face in a potentially unstable environment. Dawson and his team knew the delicate balance of reuniting Danny with her family required careful navigation to ensure her well-being, amidst the complexities of her family's background. Dawson, feeling the weight of urgency, was forced to wait until morning to contact the man identified as Danny's father. He used this time to meticulously plan his approach, aware of the conversation's potential impact on Danny's future. Preparing for various outcomes, Dawson aimed to handle the situation with the utmost sensitivity, knowing the importance of this next step in Danny's life. The police disseminated information about Danny, hoping it would reach her mother or anyone with knowledge of her situation. Flyers and social media posts were carefully crafted to protect Danny's privacy while appealing for help. Despite the community's immediate response and widespread sharing, the night passed without any leads, deepening the team's resolve to find someone who could shed light on Danny's background. The station was eerily quiet as the night progressed, with no inquiries about Danny coming in. This silence weighed heavily on Dawson and his team, amplifying their concerns for her welfare. As dawn approached without any leads, the lack of information underscored the urgency of their mission, reminding them of the importance of perseverance in their search for answers. With the new day, Dawson was already strategizing his next moves, determined to resolve Danny's situation swiftly. After a brief rest, he felt reinvigorated, ready to tackle the challenges ahead with renewed resolve. Understanding the critical nature of their search, Dawson was committed to ensuring a safer and happier future for Danny, prepared to navigate the complexities of the case for her sake. The station was quiet as dawn broke, but the silence was unsettling rather than peaceful. Danny's mother hadn't come forward, leaving everyone wondering if she was unaware of the situation or simply indifferent. The officers, especially Dawson, felt the weight of this silence, as it heightened their worries for Danny's well-being. They couldn't help but question what kind of home life awaited her. When Danny awoke, her discomfort was palpable. She looked around, disoriented, clearly missing the familiarity and comfort of her own bed, her toys, and the warmth of her home. The station, with its stark walls and fluorescent lights, felt cold and alien to her. Her longing for home was evident in her every movement and glance, making the officers even more determined to find her family. The moment Danny saw her father's picture, her face lit up with recognition and a flicker of relief. She nodded eagerly when Dawson asked if the man was her father, confirming his identity. This reaction gave Dawson a valuable piece of information but also sparked a mix of emotions. Seeing her reaction, he knew he had a crucial lead, yet he remained cautious about what steps to take next. Dawson's worry deepened as he considered the type of environment Danny might be returning to. Her father's criminal record and the unknown factors about her home life raised serious questions. He was committed to ensuring her safety, but the complexities of the situation made it clear that simply returning Danny to her family might not be enough. He needed to ensure that her home was a safe place for her. Compelled by the situation, Dawson decided to delve deeper into the family's circumstances. Understanding Danny's home environment became his priority, as he knew it was essential for her well-being. He started gathering more information about her father, intending to assess the safety and stability of the home she might return to. Dawson was determined to make informed decisions, ensuring that Danny's return to her family would be in her best interest. Dawson reached out to Eric's parole officer and uncovered troubling news. Eric was not only elusive, but also sought after for violating parole. This revelation added a new layer of complexity to the case, compelling Dawson to act quickly. The situation was no longer just about Danny's welfare. It became a race against time to address Eric's legal issues before he could disappear, complicating efforts to reunite him with Danny. Determined, Dawson set off for Eric's last known address, a journey that took him to a distant city 2 hours away. The drive was long and filled with contemplation, as Dawson considered the various outcomes of this lead. It was crucial for understanding Danny's situation and ensuring her safety. The trip underscored the lengths to which Dawson was willing to go to piece together the fragments of this complex case. Upon his arrival, Dawson was met by a cooperative local police team, eager to assist in the investigation. Together, they meticulously strategized their approach to Eric's residence, aware of the potential risks involved. This joint effort highlighted the case's severity and the collaborative spirit among law enforcement to resolve matters swiftly and safely, especially when a child's well-being was at stake. The team's encounter with Eric's girlfriend at the address threw them for a loop. Her genuine ignorance about Eric's current whereabouts and her unawareness of Danny's existence threw new obstacles into the investigation's path. This unexpected twist not only deepened the mystery but also illustrated the intricate web of personal relationships and secrets Dawson had to navigate to bring clarity to Danny's situation. Following the fruitless visit and Eric's glaring parole violations, the decision to issue a warrant for his arrest was swift, amplifying the case's urgency and complexity. This pivotal moment underscored the dual objectives of the investigation: to safely reunite Danny with her family and to ensure Eric faced justice for his actions. Dawson, feeling the pressure mounting, was more determined than ever to untangle the web of circumstances surrounding Danny and her father. Returning to his station, Dawson found himself in the eye of a storm, the search for Eric spiraling into unforeseen chaos. Every officer was on edge, the atmosphere charged with tension and anticipation. Dawson navigated this turbulence, juggling the myriad facets of the investigation with the overarching goal of ensuring Danny's well-being. The station, usually a beacon of order, mirrored the complexity and urgency of their task, becoming a hive of activity as the search for Eric intensified. When Eric unexpectedly surrendered at the station, it felt like the investigation was catapulted into a new dimension. Dawson and his team, initially stunned, quickly mobilized to address this curveball. Eric's decision to come forward voluntarily added a perplexing twist to the narrative, injecting a fresh but challenging dynamic into the equation. This development not only caught Dawson off guard but also necessitated a strategic pivot in their approach to unraveling the case's complexities. Dawson grappled with the ramifications of Eric's arrest and the immediate restriction on his contact with Danny. This directive complicated the investigation's landscape, introducing legal hurdles that threatened to distance Danny from her father further. As Dawson processed this development, he recognized the delicate balance between enforcing the law and safeguarding the emotional and psychological well-being of those involved, particularly a young child caught in the crossfire of adult issues. In his rush to interrogate Eric, Dawson encountered a wall of defiance. Eric's insistence on his innocence and his unwavering claim to paternal rights confronted Dawson with a complex tapestry of emotions and legal challenges. This confrontation was not just a clash of wills, but a stark representation of the myriad layers Dawson had to navigate: the pursuit of truth, the nuances of parental rights, and the intricate dance of legal and ethical considerations defining the case's trajectory. The repercussions of Eric's parole violation cast a long shadow over his relationship with Danny, ensnaring Dawson in a thicket of legal challenges and moral quandaries. As the case veered into the realm of legal technicalities, Dawson was acutely aware of the potential for lasting damage to the father-daughter bond. The legal landscape loomed daunting and complex, a labyrinth that Dawson and his team had to traverse with care, balancing the scales of justice against the fragile threads of family ties. In a tense meeting, Dawson confronted Eric, probing for insights into Danny's disappearance and the nuances of their family dynamics. He pressed for answers, aiming to untangle the web of Eric's relationship with his daughter and what led to the current situation. The room was thick with the gravity of their conversation, each question Dawson posed layered with the urgency of finding the truth for Danny's sake. Eric maintained his innocence, insisting he had done nothing wrong and that his only desire was to be with his daughter. However, his parole violations hung over him like a dark cloud, stripping him of any legal rights to Danny. The frustration and desperation in his voice were palpable as he navigated the complexities of his situation, caught between his past mistakes and his longing to be a father. After persistent questioning, Eric's resistance crumbled, leading to a breakthrough moment of clarity. He finally provided an address, a potential key to unlocking the mystery of Danny's whereabouts and the circumstances of her disappearance. This sudden revelation shifted the atmosphere, turning the tide of the investigation and offering a glimmer of hope that the pieces of the puzzle might finally start to fit together. The address Eric provided was intriguingly close to where Danny had been found, sparking a new trail of leads for the investigation. This proximity suggested a tangible connection to her disappearance, igniting a flurry of activity as Dawson and his team prepared to delve deeper. The potential of this new lead brought a renewed sense of purpose, each officer ready to explore what secrets the address might unveil about Danny's story. Fueled by a potent mix of hope and apprehension, Dawson rushed to the provided address, each mile bringing him closer to potential answers. The drive was tense, with Dawson's thoughts racing as fast as the car. What would they find? Would this lead bring them closer to understanding Danny's situation? The urgency of the moment was palpable, Dawson's determination driving him forward as the investigation approached what they hoped would be a significant breakthrough. Dawson's arrival at the decrepit house marked a pivotal moment in the investigation. The dilapidated structure stood as a silent witness to untold stories, its aged walls promising to reveal secrets long hidden. With a deep breath, Dawson stepped closer, his resolve firm. This was more than just a location, it was a potential gateway to understanding the intricate web of Danny's life and the mysteries surrounding her family. Finding the front door unresponsive to his knocks, Dawson's unwavering determination led him to an open window. Carefully, he made his way inside, navigating the layers of dust and neglect. The air was thick with the scent of abandonment, but Dawson's focus remained sharp. This unconventional entry underscored his commitment to finding answers, no matter the obstacles. The quiet interior of the house awaited, holding its breath for what was to come. As Dawson moved through the silent house, a faint sound from upstairs pierced the stillness, drawing his immediate attention. Without hesitation, he ascended the creaking stairs, each step bringing him closer to the source of the noise. This subtle sign of life in the otherwise deserted house quickened his pulse, signaling that this search might finally bring him face to face with the truths he sought. The search culminated in Dawson discovering an elderly woman, her confusion palpable and her ability to communicate severely limited. She seemed as much a part of the house as the peeling wallpaper, her presence a living puzzle piece in the mystery of Danny's disappearance. Dawson approached with care, understanding that she could hold the key to untangling the complex narrative of Danny and her family's life. Recognizing the importance of connection, Dawson orchestrated a crucial meeting at the house, bringing together Danny, Eric, and the elderly woman. The air was charged with anticipation as they converged in the space that held so many answers. Dawson watched, aware of the delicate balance of emotions and revelations this reunion could unravel. This gathering was not just about confrontation, it was a step towards healing and understanding the entwined destinies of those involved. The elderly woman, now known to be Eric's mother, brought a new depth to the case. Danny had been living with her grandmother since Eric's incarceration, finding solace and stability in her care. This revelation shed light on Danny's circumstances, illustrating the lengths to which families go to maintain bonds in the face of adversity. The house, once a symbol of decay, now stood as a testament to resilience and love. Since her mother's departure when she was just 2, Danny had grown to see her grandmother as her maternal figure. This bond was evident in the way Danny spoke of her, her voice softening with affection. For Danny, her grandmother's house was more than just a place to live. It was a home filled with memories and the unconditional love that only a family can provide, a stark contrast to the instability she faced elsewhere. Danny's hesitance to involve the police, as Eric had advised, highlighted her loyalty to her family and her underlying fears. This loyalty, ingrained from a young age, showcased the complex dynamics at play. Danny's actions reflected a deep-seated desire to protect her family, even in the face of confusion and uncertainty. Her reluctance was not just about fear, it was about preserving the fragile peace within her makeshift sanctuary. The grandmother, bedbound and incapable of reaching out for help, missed Danny dearly. Her inability to call the police or leave the house added layers of helplessness and longing to her situation. Despite her limitations, her love for Danny remained unwavering, a silent force that bound the fragmented family together. This situation painted a poignant picture of the challenges faced by those physically unable to act on their desires and needs. Dawson pressed on, determined to uncover the identity of the visitor that had forced Danny to leave the house so often. This line of questioning opened a new avenue in the investigation, hinting at underlying issues that had yet to surface. Dawson's approach was meticulous, knowing that understanding this visitor's role was key to unraveling the complex web of circumstances that had led to Danny's frequent absences and, ultimately, her encounter with him at the park. Danny's daily visitor was revealed to be a carer for her grandmother, a woman Danny disliked intensely. This carer's presence in the house was the reason Danny often sought refuge outside. Despite the carer's role in providing necessary assistance, her visits disrupted the sense of peace and normalcy Danny craved, driving her to find solace in the solitude of the park away from the tensions at home. Danny couldn't stand being around the carer, choosing to leave the house whenever she arrived. This pattern of avoidance spoke volumes about her discomfort and the strained atmosphere the carer's presence created. It was a silent protest, a way for Danny to express her dislike and assert some control over her situation. Her actions underscored a longing for harmony and a reprieve from the unease that filled her home during those visits. Dawson, understanding the family's situation, went to great lengths to prevent Eric's return to prison. He saw the potential for Eric to rebuild his life and take on his role as a father, providing Danny with the stable and caring environment she deserved. His efforts were rooted in a belief in second chances and the importance of family unity, driving him to navigate the complexities of the legal system on Eric's behalf. With Dawson's intervention, Eric was given the opportunity to care for Danny, an outcome Dawson fought hard to achieve. The possibility of a new beginning for the family was on the horizon. Keeping child services informed was a stipulation Eric had to accept, a measure put in place to ensure Danny's welfare. The agreement to keep child services updated was met without objection, a necessary step to maintain the new family arrangement. Eric's willingness to comply signaled his dedication to making things work, and Dawson's efforts to keep the family together underscored the community's role in supporting its members through challenges. This ongoing oversight was a safety net, ensuring Danny's interests were protected as the family navigated their path to reconciliation and healing.